Hello, welcome to the second day of the study of the book The Baha'i Faith and Introduction by Gloria Fezi. Today we are going to study the first session of part 1, the history of the faith. The Herald. It was in the year 1844 when a traveler arrived dusty and tired at the gates of Shiraz. His heart had been drawn as if by a magnet to this small city in the south of Iran, and he had come trusting that God would guide him to the object of his search. For many long years, the traveler had devoted his time to the study of the signs and dates concerning the appearances of the great teacher whose coming had been foretold in the holy books of the past. When at last the time had come, he had set out to find him, for he knew that the one to appear would not come as most people expected. The signs given in the holy books were symbolic, and no outward show of miraculous events would announce his arrival to the people of the world. He would be born among men, as all God's messengers had been before him, and only those whose inner eyes were open could recognize his station. The majority of people would deny him and persecute him, because he would bring a new message which would bring and upset the accepted standards of his time. Before setting out on his search, the traveler had retired to a secluded spot to pray and meditate for more than a month. He had rid himself of all worldly attachments and put his whole trust in God, for he knew that without the aid of God, he would never find the one he sought. It was after this period of prayer and meditation that he felt irresistibly drawn to the land of Iran and to this small city at whose gates he had now arrived. As he looked towards the city gate, his mind was filled with strange thoughts. Where was he to go from here? How long was this arduous search to last? Suddenly he saw a wonderful figure. It was a young man coming forward to greet him, and with a smile on his radiant face as if he had expected his arrival. The traveler was amazed. Who was the young man, and how did he know that he was coming? From the moment he set eyes on this youth, he was stirred with emotions he could not explain. The dignity of the young man's bearing and the sweetness of his manner made an immediate and permanent impression. The youth welcomed the traveler as though he had been a lifelong friend, and invited him to his home. Unable to resist the charm of the young man and still puzzled over the strange encounter, the traveler followed him into the city and came to the door of a modest house. Here, in a small upper room, filled with the perfume of fresh flowers, the young host poured water over the hands of the traveler as he would wash away the dust of the long journey. And here, in the course of a memorable evening which has been recorded in the words of the traveler himself, he came to recognize his host as the one he had set out to find. As the traveler sat at the feet of his master through the night, unaware of the passing hours, this first disciple of a new dispensation had a glimpse of the wonders of to come. This night, he was told, this very hour will in the days to come be celebrated as one of the greatest and most significant of all festivals. Render thanks to God for having graciously assisted you to attain your heart's desire. 18 souls must in the beginning spontaneously and of their own accord accept me and recognize the truth of my revelation. Unwarned and uninvited, each of these must seek independently to find me, the dawnbreaker. Within a short while, the first 18 disciples had, each in a different way, independently sought out and recognized the teacher whose advent they were expecting. When their number were completed, they were sent out to spread the great tidings throughout the land. Their master told them that he was the Bab, meaning the gate, through whom people would know about the advent of another messenger of God far greater than him, who would come to gather the diverse people and nations of the world together and establish the unity of mankind as promised in the Holy Scriptures. His own mission, he said, was to prepare the way for the coming of this great messenger. To his disciples, as they set out to proclaim the tidings of the new dispensation, the Bab said, "You are the bearers of the name of God in this day. The very members of your body must bear witness to the loftiness of your purpose, the integrity of your life, the reality of your faith, and the exalted character of your devotion. I am preparing you for the advent of a mighty day, scattered throughout the length and breadth of this land, and with steadfast feet and sanctified hearts, prepare the way for his coming, the dawnbreaker." The message of the Bab created great commotion, although he always referred to the one who was to follow him. The Bab's own saintly life and beautiful teachings inspired wonderful devotion in the hearts of thousands of people who met or heard him. His message spread to every part of the country and attracted people from different classes of society. Even the king could not ignore the flow of reports which reached the court, and he decided to send the most learned and trusted of the religious dignitaries of the capital to investigate the claim of the Bab. The great scholar recognized the station of the Bab and sent back a message to the king, saying that he had decided to spend the rest of his life serving the new master he had found. The majority of the clergy, however, rose in fierce opposition to the Bab, whose teachings jeopardized their position and exposed their hypocrisy. They denounced him from their pulpits as a heretic and an enemy of God and religion. They did not rest until they had succeeded in arousing the prejudice and hatred of the fanatical mass of their countrymen against him. Many thousands of his followers were tortured to death, and he himself, after being made to suffer innumerable persecutions during the 6 years of his ministry, and publicly killed when he was 30 years of age. Calm and steadfast to the end, the Bab willingly laid down his life for his cause, assured that the cry had been raised and many were now ready to accept the promised one whose herald he had been.